JJ, I'm sure you've come across Pat Riley in your years as a player and a broadcaster. What are your thoughts on him getting a statue out here?
Well deserved. He's a legend in the game of basketball, and obviously did a lot for this franchise. Before the season with my family, we watched the Hulu doc, and he was featured prominently in that. But he's had such an impact on the game and every franchise that he's been with, especially the Lakers. So I'm very happy for him. Well deserved.
Just housekeeping. Rui and Cam, what were their status? Or what were they able to do? Practice today?
Yeah, Rui did not practice today, but he's making a lot of progress. So we're hoping to have him at some point this week. I'm not sure what's he going to be listed at. Yeah, questionable. It'll be questionable for tomorrow. Cam was able to practice today. We did not do anything live. It was just live versus coaches, but he was able to do everything today. Yeah, that's it.
Do you play those games?
What?
Do you play those games?
No. I've got to preserve my health. Okay. I've got to preserve my health.
There's that, he talked about how guys get frustrated when Knecht doesn't shoot, because it's for the better of the team. When he make shots. What does that do for Knecht's confidence?
I don't think any of us have to tell him to shoot the ball. He's unflappable in that. He has a real high level of confidence in his shooting and scoring ability, and in some ways he's like a goldfish. He really is. He's able to just kind of move on. He can be 1 for 8, and he has confidence that the next shot's going in, which every great shooter does. And we have that same level of confidence in him as well. But for AD, Bron, our guys, they all trust him. Certainly the coaching staff, we trust him as well as a shooter.
There were moments it was very on spectrum. The first practice, come off of action, we told him, when you come off of action, you look to score. Something similar, I think, in
Phoenix.
Yep, in Phoenix. Where did that come from for you, and why is it so important for him to know that? Even, saying you don't need to tell him, but why is it so important to have that dialogue with him, especially as a rookie?
Well, when people think of guys that can shoot the basketball, particularly guys that can shoot the basketball on the move, they only think of the shot. The reality is the threat of the shot causes the defense to open down. And that's sort of the next evolution as a shooter. A guy like Duncan Robinson, who on a team with Bam and Jimmy Butler can draw 2 defenders. It's the overreaction to the threat of the shot. That's like the next step. So if you're constantly in go mode, you can create overreactions even when maybe there's not a good shot there, and then you make that.
What do you remember about draft night when it became apparent that Knecht was going to fall to you guys? Not your draft night. Yeah.
Jesus, man. Long time ago. What do I remember about it?
Yeah, it's just as it was playing out, where he's on your board and available.
Yeah, you're watching the picks, and some of the picks that were in our range on our board, right? The guys that were listed on our board in our range went earlier, which I think in some ways made decisions easier. And then it became an issue of like, all right, well, there's 2 or 3 guys there. We're all confident that it's going to be this guy, and then Dalton just remained unpicked, unselected. So when when Philly took McCain, it was like, all right, we're taking Dalton. We were obviously very excited, and for us, we certainly want to continue to develop our young guys and place an emphasis on that. But getting a guy with the 17th pick that can play right away with our group is huge.
How big of a day was today for Koloko? I think there was talk that he hadn't had this wasn't a full contact practice, but just an install day with everybody.
It was important. I know our coaching staff, Redick, is with him on a daily basis when he's with us. So he's coaching him up. He's showing him film. We're all doing that. even doing some of the defensive breakdown stuff today, I think was really big because we went over different coverages which require different calls, and you need to be able to communicate in real time what the coverages are. So it was super helpful for him.
After the last road trip, you guys made a pretty big move in moving D'Lo to the bench. How is, now that we have some sample, not a big one, but some, how has he handled it? What have you liked about him with the second unit?
He's handled it great. I think the challenge is always going to be for us as coaches to try to make sure that he gets to be D'Lo, and that's not an overnight process. That's a longer process, and his engagement has been wonderful, just in terms of being with the team, but also his engagement defensively has really picked up the last 5 games.
Is that part, like when people talk about coaches having systems and stuff, I think sometimes that's viewed with like being rigid. Is that something with like a guy like D'Lo, for instance? Like, you want to move the ball, you want to do X, but like D'Lo's a great pick and roll player. So is it like trying to be flexible and finding the right places for that within sort of your framework?
Yeah, there's opportunities to force feed it, and there's opportunities for him on the court to find it organically, and we can both work to find that balance. That's what the conversation has been about.
You talked a lot heading into the season about just having a lot of communication with different players about roles, stuff like that. Was the idea of D'Lo coming off the bench something that you talked about him with before the season even began, just like this could be a possibility, so he'd be prepared for it?
Yeah, I think you guys are looking at the role of a starter and a bench player as like what a role is. That's not a role on a team. That's literally what somebody announces before the game. That's not a role.
Well, but I mean, the players sometimes see it differently.
D'Lo, I don't think D'Lo saw that differently. D'Lo and I talked prior to making the decision. He doesn't view it differently. I certainly don't view it differently. The role is not who starts and who comes off the bench. The role is how you play on the court, and there's not a role change for him. It's an adjustment for the team.
What was the role shift then? Was it to play with more, like to let the ball stick less, to pop more?
Balancing the lineups. That's what I think I communicated to him, the team, what I communicated to you guys. Balancing the lineups, balancing the rotation a little bit.
No, I'm sorry. Like when you spoke to him this summer about like, this is the way we envision how you can play within what we want to do. You know what I mean? Like there was going to be some change for how he has played. He's talked about it. I'm curious specifically what were the things that you said, like, we think we want you to do a little more of X or Y?
I don't think it was doing more of X or Y. It was certainly, we had a conversation about the defensive participation and engagement, being really good with just executing our schemes and coverages and rotations and all that. Offensively, again, I've looked at this as always trying to be adaptable. I think within the system we've put in place, we've done it and executed it well at times in terms of how we've envisioned it as coaches, and other times, we played a little stagnant and tried to target hunt, tried to play iso ball. Those haven't necessarily been good for us game to game. We've had some success in certain games, so I think for him it was really embracing what we're trying to do. He's done that. He sees it. He's communicated that to us. Then the next step is just, him organically sort of figuring out, based on who's on the floor, these are where I can get opportunities to play pick and roll. They're there. Yeah. And we'll do a better job of kind of force feeding it at times, but he can also do that as well.
It seems like you guys are doing a lot of adjustments throughout the season. You have two assistant coaches, who've been head coaches. How big have they been for you? How do you make adjustments throughout the season?
Well, the whole staff has been awesome. I think we established very early this summer in Summer League just a culture of honesty and communication, and we can have healthy discussions. And we also established a culture of openness, not trying to be rigid. I think there's the challenge, of course, you want to be sensitive to the flow of a player's season and the team's season. You don't want to constantly be making all these adjustments. But once you've established different game plans and they've worked, then we can just revert back to those, and the guys can buy in, or we can say, hey, this is the game plan to start, and these are our adjustments within a game. And obviously, coaching staff, we decide those, and when we leave the room, that's what we've all decided, and we can all communicate that.
Thanks, Coach.